Hello, this is Susan Ashley. Welcome to my YouTube channel, Susan Kassandra. We're going to continue on with our universal laws, and today I'm going to talk of the law of compensation, which is kind of interesting because it's very similar to the law of attraction and the law of correspondence. But, you know, people think about compensation as I deserve. And in today's world, we always think we deserve it for nothing, just for being there, because I was born, because I have a pretty face, because I did well at school, I deserve this. You know, the law of compensation has become somewhat bastardized. And I'm trying to put that lightly, right? So, but the thing is, who are you getting compensated from? In my mind, when I think of the law of compensation, I think of God, the universe, those beautiful beings that I work with in my work, right? So for me, it's kind of easy to understand the law of compensation, because if I'm honestly doing something, remember when I said to you in a previous video about people who say it's like a Christmas list, the law of attraction, you know, it's like a Christmas list. Oh, if I'm doing this, then I have to have this. And, you know, it's a little bit selfish and egotistical to think like that, right? But the law of compensation is it gets sort of like turned around to be like that in a way. Like, I did this for you, so you have to do this for me, because that's how it's returned. But it doesn't always come from the same people. And it doesn't always come from the same place. It's kind of like the law of karma in a way, good karma and bad karma, right? We accumulate something by our actions. And then when the time is right, we're gifted something to support us, to help us. That's the law of compensation. It doesn't come from a demand. It comes from being of service from your heart, from the core of your being, without wanting anything in return. So, you know, sometimes I'll be standing in an aisle of a supermarket and I'll get a message, you know, to help someone. But I'm not going to tell you that. I'm going to tell you another example of this. And I speak from my life, because if I don't know these things personally, how can I talk to you about it? How can I be genuine and honest if I'm just reading from a book, a philosophy on life that I haven't even experienced? What truth is in that? I'm a truth sayer, so I speak from my experience. So anyway, years ago, a friend of mine who lived across the road from me, right? And her father passed away just suddenly, and she needed to get home, and she didn't have the money for her airfare and other things, and also to pay her rent while she was gone. She didn't know how long she was going to be. And at the time, you know, I was earning quite well. So I said to her, look, I'll buy your ticket, get on the plane, go be with your family. Don't worry how long it takes. I will pay your rent. Everything's fine. I'll look after your apartment, everything. And I did. And I did that from genuine love for this friend who I was very close to. And she worked for herself, and so did I. So we both understood this whole thing. When you work for yourself, you never know how much you're going to earn this week or next week. And so when she came back, it wasn't like she could just give me the money back, you know, because she had to earn the money. And usually at that time, we were both at the beginning of our career, so we didn't have a lot of independent work, you know. So we're really building ourselves up. So most weeks we were just getting by. And my work at the time was often by donations because of the nature of the people I was working with. So I didn't earn a lot. Anyway, when she came back, she said, oh, Susan, I don't know how I'm going to pay you back. And she was such a good friend to me. And I said, look, it doesn't matter. Don't even think about it. Let's let it go. It's done now. It's done. Anyway, a good 10 years later, I was in a position where I was devastated. I had someone in my life that had horribly ripped me off financially. Someone that I trusted. And, it was one of those karmic things where I just didn't see it coming. And I was devastated. And I had not even 10 cents. And I had nothing coming in because at that time I had left the work that I was doing. I was dependent on this person. I was pregnant. And that person I went down to talk to the real estate, and they were about to send me a notice of eviction because the rent hadn't been paid. And I said to them, oh, don't worry, I'll go to the bank and I'll get the money. Now, this is before ATMs, before online banking or computers were even around. So I go to the bank. The bank account had been completely drained. I didn't know what to do. Here I was pregnant. I had no income and I had no money in the bank. Now I'll tell you, the amount of money that I had in the bank was enough to buy, let's say, 3/4 of a house. And it was all gone and I couldn't do anything about it. I had given that person access to my bank account. So I went home, and when I got inside the door, I was crying. My friend called me and I picked up the phone. I was just crying and she said, what's going on? And I told her and she said, don't worry. I'll pay your rent and I'll help you. And I said, no, you can't do that. But remember, this is 10 years later. We'd worked, we'd, done well. A lot better than we were 10 years earlier in our early 20s. And she said, look, years ago, and I had completely forgotten, she said, years ago, you really helped me, and I've been waiting for the opportunity to do the same for you, and now's my opportunity. Please allow me to do this. And she did. And then another friend came to me and said, look, I'd like to help you. And I knew I couldn't go back to the work that I was doing because of the pregnancy. I just couldn't do it. And I used to do card readings for friends of mine in just as a sort of a thing to do. And he said to me, look, he used to sell crystals, and I was always into crystals, right? He said, okay, look, I go to the market on Saturday. Why don't you come, set up beside me and do readings for people? And I'm sure you'll make money from that. I said, I can't do that. I couldn't do that for money, But actually, when I was pregnant, I was extremely psychic. So I did. And I used to make enough money on a Saturday for the entire week. And so many people came and helped me in that time in my life you wouldn't believe. So that's the law of compensation, is when I had given to a lot of people in my life. I worked through donation because I knew people couldn't afford it, not because I'm asking for something back and I thought, oh, maybe one day I'll get something back. I did it genuinely from my heart. I did it because I knew it was needed. I didn't do it for accolades. I didn't do it from my ego. I did it from my heart because I really felt for these people. And that is the perfect example of the law of compensation. And remember, I told you about my lotto win? That's sort of along those lines too, but it had involved inspired action. Yeah? So there you go, the law of compensation. So when you do something, do it genuinely. Ask yourself. And that I learned very early on in my life. My father once said to me, Susan, if you never loan money to a friend or anyone, if you're going to lend it, have in your mind to give it away. So don't lend it unless you can afford to give it away. And my father taught me a few good things in my life, and that was one of them. And I've always held true to that. I never give anything unless I really, really want to and feel I can. Because I don't want to live with regret. I don't want to live with this whole thing. I gave them that and they didn't give me back this. Have you ever had a friend like that says, well, I did this for you and I did that for you and all of this stuff? They never gave it to you from the heart if they have to bring that up. So there you are. Have a beautiful day and I'll see you soon. Bye for now.